Report, Season 1, Episode 26. That's news to me.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, okay. Well, good morning to you, and good day, good afternoon. Depends what time you're listening, of course. But it's morning right at this moment, just for the next few minutes at least. So how have you been, Mel?
I'm okay, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. So, we'll plough straight on, obviously, in 10 minutes or less. And today's subjects, just to give you the heads up, we're going to be talking about the prospect of the lights going out over Britain this winter with possible power cuts. And we're also going to have a little chat about what is happening at the moment with all the protests, the women protesting in Iran following the death of one, I think her name is Mahsa Amina.
Yeah, that's right.
I shall consult the notes, of course. And the fact that COVID rates are suddenly surging again, and what this means in what we're in for this winter. So we'll kick off, shall we? Will the lights go out this winter? Will our viewers and listeners be deprived of our dulcet tones? Or will they be spared, depending on which way you're looking at it? Some of them will be begging for it, perhaps. So with the prospect of the lights going out this winter with electric power cuts, not dissimilar to what, of course, happened in the mid-70s, how are people going to cope? And how come we've got here? Mel?
Well, you're old enough to remember, so what was it like in the 70s?
Well, I remember in the 70s.
Because we have no frame of reference.
Right, okay. Well,
we've never, apart from power cuts here and there, it's like a power cut. And if it's like a power cut...
Yeah, when was the last time you had a power cut?
Well, last year.
What, you live in a posh area?
But we get them quite regularly.
No, we've never.
Once a year, few hours, maybe more, we'll get power outage.
Oh, right, okay.
Cables that need to be fixed.
Yeah,
and
we've only had one power outage here that I can remember, and that was because I put a wet kettle.
Is that your fault?
On to boil. Yes, it was. I blew the fuses. So it only
what, in the whole building?
No, in the flat.
So it's a 10-minute outage.
Yeah, that's it. Just my stupidity.
Okay. No. Okay. Where I am, it's hours. As in, they have to dig holes in the street. They have to find the fault. They need to repair the fault. They need to check it. Then the power goes out again, so they reconnect everything.
How is it?
And then it can be 1-2 hours, or it can be half a day, or sometimes more. But what we do is we make sure that we sort of put water in pan so we can boil water.
Oh, you've got a gas stove.
Gas stove, gas stove and things like that.
Yeah.
The annoying thing is obviously no internet, so you make do with your phone until that runs out. And then it's like if it's late at night, you put your candles on, you read a book, you get cozy, and then all of a sudden all the lights come on. Yeah. And then the book gets thrown away. The board game gets put back. And
hopefully you remember to dash the candle out.
Yeah.
So you don't wake up in the morning needing to redecorate your bedroom.
Yeah. But we don't, but I mean, once in a while you can tolerate. If it's I don't know what the plan is. Is it going to be every day for 3 hours?
Well, let's wind it back to the 70s. In the 70s, it was sort of so many hours per day, as I remember, for so many days per week. And it kind of went in. But of course, we had the 3-day week. So industry had to change as well. So it was the same situation there. You could only open say if you were running a factory for 3 days of the week. But in terms of outages at home, obviously back then you didn't have all the kind of energy
levels of consumption
that we have now. I mean, you had your TV, and you might have an electric. Well, you probably had an electric oven, and possibly a gas hob. So you could cook on the hob. We couldn't cook in the oven. And you were denied the TV if you had of course, back then you had a transistor radio.
Yeah.
So you probably had a battery, ghetto blaster radio or some kind of similar implement that if you had batteries, of course, then you were all right. Other than that, it was candles and go to bed early.
I'm not being funny. So ultimately, it's no big deal.
It was no big deal.
We shouldn't be in this situation because obviously, as we were talking about before, it's just really bad planning that we find ourselves in this situation today. But ultimately, it's an inconvenience and people will just figure it out and make do. I'm assuming things like hospitals have their own generators, so they'll have power consistent. It's not like a hospital will run out of power.
No, I would imagine that obviously for
like critical
infrastructure, it remains constant. But if it comes to our situation, modern day, I mean, people aren't so limited because, of course, they've got battery packs. A lot of people, so they can charge up their battery pack to make sure their laptop or tablets charge. Yeah. So if they know the power cuts are going to be on prescribed days for the 3 hours in the evening, they could make sure.
But they won't have broadband, will they?
No, but you can download your movie and watch it offline, and providing your battery pack and your tablets are charged up. But then, what does that mean for everybody going mad charging their bits of equipment up during the day before the evening cutoff? I mean, the whole logistics of it is entirely different to what we experienced in the 70s. And to be quite honest, when I think about it with a little bit of thought, then really it's not like you're sitting there with nothing in the dark, unless you might be elderly, of course, and you haven't got all of this kind of technical equipment and benefits to charge bits and pieces up and
your family,
carry on.
And your family no longer love you and want to visit you anymore.
Yes, and all they want to do is stick you in a care home with lots of orange warning cords in every room.
So ultimately, no big deal.
No, I don't think it's a big deal. I think obviously, if you're, as I said, very elderly, infirm, or then obviously it's a bit of a different issue. But good God, it's not the end of the world.
Because your boiler won't work either, right?
No, because there's no pump.
There's no power.
I mean, I've been cut off when I lived up in Leicestershire. We were snowed in bad winter in the early, I think probably about 1990, I think maybe. And cut off, so we didn't have any heating, lighting, or electricity for 5 days. But I had a coal fire, an open fire, and a gas hob. And between the gas hob and the open fire, I think I can't remember if my oven was gas. I don't know if it had been, I might have stuck my head in it. And we managed. It wasn't great. It was in the middle of winter. It was fucking cold.
Yeah.
But it's not every day. It's not permanent. And it's that's a damn sight easier now when you've got the ability to charge things up in advance. But why have we got here? I mean, all these cars that are now electric being charged up, all this electronic equipment. Isn't it the case that 12 years of this government, that somehow an energy policy has been lagging?
Well, we were saying that sort of there was a nuclear power plant that had been given a green light.
Is this the one where China's investment was involved?
And then they pulled it.
Wasn't that under Theresa May? Didn't she get into government and then she suddenly she couldn't make up her mind whether to give it the green light or not? And then I now can't remember whether in the end she did give it the green light, and it's had the red light again since.
But the result is that we don't have a nuclear power station that's operational
at
all. Well, no, we do, but the one that they were building, they stopped.
Right.
Which would have produced energy for, I think, 12% of the country.
Wow.
So that's sort of in limbo.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can. We agreed that there's nothing you can do to resolve the issue, because the resolution would only be sort of 4 or 5 years down the line.
Yes, well,
how much solar can you put up? How many more wind farms can you build?
And is the answer handing out fracking licenses? I think not.
But it's the fastest and easiest way to get energy in.
But it's still years off. They've increased the gas supply by 25%, apparently, from the North Sea. But of course, that doesn't alter bugger all. But isn't this because of a lacking energy policy for the last 12 years? We've had 12 years of Tory government. And it seems to me that this is something I remember being talked about a good 10 years ago as an issue that for coming down the line for about now. And yet bugger all's been done about it.
Well, that's right. Bugger all's been done about it. So therefore we have blackouts. Thank you
to successive Tory Prime Ministers, and no doubt this one included. Bugger all will get done. The Bugger all party.
Pretty much.
And they're talking about swinging cuts again, but never mind. That's on a different subject entirely. So, there are obvious things before we close the subject on. I mean, there are obvious little things that people can do in the absence of a government kind of information blitz on how we can all save energy and avoid the prospect of power cuts. But there's so many things that people can do to save money for themselves as well as save energy overall. Wouldn't you think the government should be having a big information splurge?
I'm sure they will at some point. But
well, they've said no to it, haven't they?
Have they?
Yes.
Because it probably sounds condescending.
Well,
it's like, oh,
Liz Truss doesn't have to do anything to sound condescending.
Only boil 1 cup of water in your kettle as opposed to 3 because it will save you energy. No one wants to hear that.
Because you think they already know it.
Well, no, but people just don't want to listen to that kind of stuff.
Okay, so
you don't want to be babied into being told what to do and how to save energy.
Okay,
you shouldn't have to be in that situation in the first place.
I did hear.
So then don't you then go tell me what I need to do to save energy when you're the one that put us in this situation
in the first place. I guess that's fair enough. I did hear Argos had a big consignment of electric blankets which sold out in a blink.
Electric blankets.
You can't. How do you get the thing hot if you've been cut off?
You don't.
That's it. So,
but electric blankets, air fryers, onesies, hot water bottles.
Yes. Well, we've got our onesies. I wanted to buy another to make it twosies. But we need a spare one. A spare one,
Twosies.
So I better get a hurry on then if I haven't got to kind of just keep watching the one I've got. They did keep you warm though.
Next topic.
Anyway, on to the next topic. Convenience.
Oh no, your computer's broken.
Which damn it, it wasn't charged up. Is about the death of Mahsa Amina last month in Iran, arrested by the morality police, Tehran's morality police. I mean, the title is almost Orwell's 1984.
Every Arabic country
morality
has a morality police.
I mean, seriously. And she was allegedly beaten to death after being arrested by the morality police. Obviously, it's not in their list of don'ts not to beat people to a pulp. And all of this for breaking what was the hijab dress code.
Apparently, it wasn't only that, though. Apparently, her trousers were not quite long enough. Which justifies
the beating.
No, I'm dead serious.
Right.
So it was not only.
She died because of a bit of ankle.
Pretty much.
I mean, seriously.
Because she didn't live in that particular part of Iran.
The morality police would have a field day here if they saw some of the tarts around here with the flaming lycra up there.
But so she had travelled from a different part of Iran.
Right.
And there she had no issue. So
Right.
wherever her home was, she would walk around
pretty
freely
much
as she was, and it was never an issue.
But suddenly,
so obviously, when she then decides to go to this different part of Iran,
yeah,
the morality police found it unacceptable, and they took her into custody,
and then killed her. And of course, this has resulted in mass protests. Some 185 people have died so far in the protests. And it's even, obviously, it's spreading with sympathy, if you like, across the globe as
I hate
people
that.
cut bits of hair off.
I hate that. That's the most stupid thing in the world. Let's show support by cutting a tuft of hair.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. What have you achieved?
What have you achieved?
Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah. There is definitely something's going to happen, whether it's something horrific. If the Iranian government either the Iranian government are really going to clamp down and is going to be a bloodbath until they get this under control, or it will lead to some sort of change.
Well, I think
but who knows? Iranians are also saying, it's an Israeli and a Western plot to destabilize the government, so they're putting that sort of message out there as well now. Obviously, a lot of people are going down the other direction where they're saying, look, it wasn't that long ago when Iranian women, were much freer. They didn't have to wear a hijab at all. They were dancing, singing. Early 70s?
Oh, you mean before Iran took, because they didn't have the revolution until 79.
Exactly. So it was a much freer society.
So you think 40, 50 years have had enough?
It's up to them. It's up to the people.
Well, of course it is.
But how many people are prepared to die for the cause? This is the question. This is much like Ukraine. It's obviously it's a different scenario, but the question is, given the government knowing what they're capable of, how far are you willing to go to get your rights back? The Iranian government.
No, you were comparing it to Ukraine.
To Ukraine.
So,
as in, how much blood are you prepared to spill for your freedom and for your rights?
Right. Okay.
Everybody has their limit. The question is, what are Iranian people's limits? I think you'll
find that often it comes to a point where that limit is almost insurmountable, as we saw through the concept, if you like, of the Second World War, which the concept of it was literally fighting for our freedom and not for some horrible authoritarian rule under Adolf Hitler, should he have won. And the effort to becomes almost insurmountable, and I'm wondering whether Iran's reached a tipping point of people saying, "Okay, we've had enough of this bullshit."
Iran was a beacon at one point.
Exactly,
it truly was. It was seen as a jewel in the crown. And then the West got involved and.
Well, at the end of the day, you can't. You can blame the West for poking their nose in, perhaps where that wasn't wanted, but it's not there.
It's a trigger.
Unfortunately, it ends up with the law of unintended consequences, ending up with a regime that is twice as the exact opposite of what you were hoping to achieve. But how long are people in any situation willing to live under the thumb? History every time seems to at some point. And has Iran reached that point where it's like no more?
If this is another colour revolution, this is as good a trigger as any other.
Yeah.
That woman shouldn't have died.
No.
What did she die for exactly?
And her mother,
that's the truth.
Mother, having seen her body, went home and hung herself. I was reading last night in the news. The mother obviously had to identify her, and that she was so overcome by the mess they left her daughter in.
Look, all I can say is
She
that
went home and hung herself.
all I can say is that
She's
I
dreadful.
hope that all people in Iran come together for good. You know, and you know, you shouldn't have to live under those circumstances and under that kind of rule.
No,
because
exactly.
if you don't have general freedoms, what's the point of existing?
And too much of the world is still, in reality, without the freedom it should be enjoying, whether it be in places like China, North Korea, even Russia,
even America.
You know, well, yes, you know,
you can argue the level of freedoms even in America today.
Well,
with things that are going on. But
yes,
I agree.
with the fact that denying the right of women, you know, decisions over their own body.
It's simple self-expression. Yeah. It should be the ability to express yourself as you choose.
As long as you don't do harm to someone else.
Exactly right. I agree.
Well, yeah, entirely. Anyway, onwards, upwards. That's a subject that's going to, I suspect, come.
This will roll on for a long time.
Yes, I think we might be talking about this again in some months. You never know, as things change. Lastly, the last subject is back to the old COVID, as numbers have suddenly jumped in parts of England by near enough 100% in the space of a week, looking at the figures up until the end the week ending 1st of October. And it is, yes, it looks as though we're in for another bout of it over the winter. I noticed cases have risen sharply in China again.
But Hong Kong is still open.
Yes. Do you think, what do you, I mean, is this a little bit of a warning for everybody to take a bit of heed? Or do you think that's kind of, you know, as the hospital numbers are about to start climbing, of course, as we see this unfolding.
Yeah.
But do you think there should be some messaging to at least encourage people to take a more of a sensible approach, wear masks in certain situations perhaps, and just try and mitigate that way? Or do you think people are so bored with it, they're not bothering to have their next booster? It looks like the numbers are fairly paltry this time, going for the latest vaccines. Do you think it's kind of we're all a little warned by it, and therein lies a risk?
I think it's the other side. I think it's the government will almost certainly not intervene
at all.
At all.
Right.
They don't want the hassle.
Right.
It will damage the economy. It will decimate the economy.
But if millions are ill, then it's going to decimate. I think the numbers to the end of the 1st of October in this country were 1,050,000 something, 370.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Because if it's not in the papers and it's not being mentioned on the news, no one cares.
Right.
And I think that's the point. As long as it's not being advertised that things are getting worse.
Right.
Then you already are resolving an issue in terms of having to sort of put out warnings against, you know, going into public spaces, social distancing, wearing masks, potential lockdowns. You know, how bad do things have to get before the government starts to say, we need to go down the lockdown route again? Because we haven't heard anything from the government about this.
I'm not even suggesting the prospect of a lockdown, because I think...
Yeah, but why not? Why not? If numbers get that bad, why is a lockdown not on the table?
That's an interesting point. Do you think...
we might not want it, but if things get bad enough, surely that should be an option.
Well,
like a circuit breaker. When was the circuit breaker?
Yeah,
that was a week or whatever it was, 10 days.
Yes, November 2020. I don't
remember. But there was a circuit breaker saying that things are getting really bad. We'll lock down for a number of days, try to get things under control, and then we'll start to step things back
again. Well, that kind of would make sense, wouldn't it?
But the weather's getting colder, people are getting iller. You know, like you said, the numbers are doubling.
Will
probably double again next month.
I mean, I was thinking less in terms of a lockdown, just more in terms of certain restrictive behaviours, also restricted, mask wearing in certain places, etc. As it has remained the case, I noticed, as something I've said before, in Spain, there are certain places you're still required to wear a mask. So there, whilst it's a lot more relaxed, different as chalk and cheese from a year ago. Nevertheless, they've kept some common sense.
I think ultimately people need to take a bit more accountability for themselves.
Right.
You know, if you're not feeling that well, don't go into work. You know, if you're starting to feel a bit of a tickle at the back of your throat, put a mask on.
Yeah.
If things really do deteriorate, stay at home.
Well,
contact the 111 or what's the 112, whatever it is, and just let someone know that you're not doing too good, and then sort of take advice from helplines and things like that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, but really, COVID or no COVID, what the fuck is it with people who go to work?
Selfish bastards. Yeah,
I've had a sore throat for 2 days and I've got a bit of a fever. It's like,
cheers, mate. Yeah, what are you doing here then?
What the fuck? I mean, where is how can I say, bit of shared responsibility in going, clearly I'm poorly. Should I be spreading this amongst my workmates, friends, etc., etc.? Unnecessarily, just because I'm a selfish git.
Look, I was in the pharmacy last week.
Yeah.
There was an old lady sat by the counter.
Yeah.
Deep, wheezy cough.
Right.
As I walk in, I see this lady. I was like, no, thank you very much. And I turned around and I walked off.
Right.
But at what point does she not realise that she's ill? She could wait outside.
Right.
You know, she could be given
the pharmacy cost could have been something else.
I don't care what it was.
Right.
Don't do it. You know, she didn't cover her mouth. She didn't have a mask.
That's the thing I can't bear.
But if you're going into a pharmacy,
why coughing everywhere?
But why can't the pharmacist say, "Look, love, stick a mask on,
bitch,
or fuck off outside, and I'll see you in a second."
Hello.
Why can't we do that instead of just leaving her there to cough, potentially infecting the staff there as well as anyone else?
The pharmacist looks at it. That's good. That's another 3 customers tomorrow to buy some Benylin.
Maybe they paid it to sit there.
That's possible. No, I totally agree with you. I mean, it's like the thing is you get these notices. Please, if you've got symptoms of flu, please don't come to the doctor's surgery. Which is slightly ironic, of course, because you're only supposed to go to the doctors when you're ill. But quite rightly, if it's something that is, bloody stay at home. You go to the doctor, unless you're really at death's door. To be honest, what's the doctor going to do? Google it and give you a bunch of tablets.
What we do need to be concerned about is bird flu.
Is what?
Bird flu.
Bird flu.
4.5 million birds killed so far.
There you go. That's the other thing. Don't be worrying about the fact that how you're going to afford to cook the Christmas dinner. You ain't getting no Christmas dinner.
But it's
no turkeys.
But it's not only birds reared for food.
Yes.
It's also like general population birds as well. You know, I spoke to a cousin of mine that likes to go to the north of Scotland.
Yeah.
She likes bird watching. You know, she was saying that the number of birds, I think even a month ago, were much fewer than what she remembers. She goes to the same place every year.
But isn't
that there were birds dead on the beach?
Oh, really?
There were dead birds on the beach, and there was a sign saying, "Don't approach the bird. Don't go anywhere near the thing. Just contact, a number, and someone will come by."
So it's a lot worse, because I know I've read a little bit about the bird flu, and I think we might have touched on it previously.
And if it mutates, we're screwed.
Of course, it was a bird flu that started the Spanish flu epidemic in 1918.
These are big numbers again. It's not really being
the
mentioned
worst
that much.
in history, I am told.
What's the worst in history?
The number of birds, the bird flu epidemic here
at the moment.
But I didn't realise it was getting into other species.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just
birds, other types.
So it's not just one's red for food. So it's in general population.
Well, I'll tell you what, nobody would mind too much if it was the fucking pigeons that got loads of it. Could do without them bloody things flapping about the neighbourhood.
They serve a purpose.
Yeah, rats with wings. They don't serve any purpose at all, except to give something to do to old biddies who throw broken up loaves of bread at them.
People might say the same thing about you, sir.
Well, they don't chuck bread at me.
Yes, they do.
I've had worse things chucked at me.
Okay. Are we done?
So that's it. So look out for the bird flu, everybody. You're not getting a turkey this Christmas. Well, hang on a minute. I've still buying chicken.
We're trying to get a goose for Thanksgiving.
You're trying to get a goose for Thanksgiving, really? But Thanksgiving's in November, isn't it? October, November. I don't really celebrate Thanksgiving. Why are you celebrating Thanksgiving?
Justine's American, isn't she?
Is it? Yes, she is American, isn't she?
Yeah. So Thanksgiving.
Right. Okay. So.
Don't you want to give thanks for anything? Well, maybe you should start Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but it's
ignorant.
It's just nonsense, though.
Why is it nonsense?
Well, it's just nonsense. It's bloody Christmas, isn't it? Really.
So you don't celebrate Christmas?
Well, only from the point of view we have a holiday and we cook some nice food and we do stick a Christmas tree up. But what has it really got to do with anything except consumerism? And well, where's the guy? The thing with the red suit.
Because you're spending time with your family,
who are thousands of fucking miles away.
That's why you should give thanks.
What? They're thousands of miles away. Yeah, there you go. I'll get a turkey in them for November, and celebrate the fact that there's distance.
On that
note,
goodbye,
spot
everybody.
on for time. Ciao for now.